Palantir's had a jam-packed week. Major partnership expansion internationally, as well as Palantir's earnings coming out soon, and also expanding opportunities for growth that we keep seeing. So looking at the stock first, they've gone down several percent this week. It's nothing too sudden, to be honest, but just constant downwards pressure where we're basically testing the $20 mark again. So we'll see how Palantir performs over the next few weeks as earnings is coming around the corner. Now, the big news first that came out was Hyundai and Palantir announcing their partnership regarding development of autonomous vehicles for the sea. Being unmanned surface vehicles, they're trying to replace manned ships without losing too much quality in performance. And this mainly is going to be for reconnaissance first, being the first goal by 2026, and then moving to actual combat capabilities then. So the real test of success for this program is having them reach that level of acceptability, of course. The two significant parts of this announcement is first that Palantir has been working alongside Hyundai in their shipbuilding division for a while now, and that's widely known, and have been helping them in getting more efficient in doing so. And just is not just building the ship itself, but their whole supply chain too. But this expansion also shows the strength and continuation of the relationship, and even going further into the military side of development. Palantir has really cultivated their relationship with Hyundai out in Korea, and for those familiar at least, that's how their economy has been developed. All parts of their economy are ran by the major corporations like Hyundai, but also like Samsung, LG, and SK if those sound familiar to you. So if you cultivate this relationship here, then you gain access to much more broad access, so we'll see how this continues for them in the country. But secondly, this is the timing of the announcement. They did this around Israel defending against the Iranian drone swarm attack. Now, I'm not going to read too much into the details and timing, but with more aggression and adversarial countries around, which we know South Korea will have to deal with China too, then I'd say perfect to continue building military capabilities alongside our allies. Then, Palantir won a new grant for the Colorado-Wyoming Regional Innovation Engine for the U.S. National Science Foundation support for climate resiliency. Now, the press release itself was a little sparse on details in regard to money and timing, but the purpose really is for them to figure out how they can improve climate resiliency, and that's the fight against aridification, natural disasters, and helping them with a lot of the issues that comes with climate change that impact water resource and agricultural technology. Now, if you go further to the National Science Foundation's information site, there are actually 10 engines covering 18 states for a total of $1.6 billion. So the PR announcement is specifically for one of the engines only for Colorado, Wyoming. And it's noted there is an initial awarding of around $15 million for the first 2 years, with the rest of it over 8 years remaining in the decade. So potentially around $160 million over 10 years per region. Now, Palantir is working in a team, so we have no idea how much this is actually going to be worth as a deal. And by the looks of it, not much dollar-wise, but more importantly, this continues to showcase their work with all entities and fronts on the government. So hopefully this keeps building up their reputational credit at least, and helps nudge them towards more lucrative and important deals, even dealing with the environment. Then we get some media shout-outs to this week with Keith Fitzgerald getting asked about Palantir once again, especially with the recent Iranian drone attack I referenced earlier. He continues to double down he believes they will be a $50 stock, but crucially he points out Palantir is still totally underestimated as well as critical to defense for the United States. And with the recent events, it just goes to show how Palantir continues to be in the conversation when anything happens in the world militarily. The conversation kind of got started when they became so public about their help in Ukraine, and this has led to always being at least considered in the conversation when it comes to the evolving landscape of defense technology. Then our next quarter of earnings date has finally been announced. It's been scheduled for Monday, May 6th after hours, with the typical earnings call also taking place afterwards on the live stream. Now, I'm sure there'll be a lot of eyes on their customer numbers and guidance concerning all the marketing around their AIP boot camps and positive reception that they've been talking about, at least when we've been hearing from clients and the latest AIP con. So I'll create an earnings preview once we get a little bit closer, but also the results once they're out. Then the NHS awarded a new FTP contract, but note it's the KPMG for around £10 million. This is for helping to implement the FTP system, but also provide services as it rolls out to more and more trusts. Concerning we saw that all 67 live data services is only under NHS England, their main customer, so Palantir seems to be getting help rolling this out, and for good reason. I don't see it as a lost opportunity for more money, but rather a confirmation of their scalability and wider adoption for the market, and of course positioning themselves to do do so. First, KPMG being able to do this and putting the time and effort in hiring and training folks to implement Palantir means it's worth something to them at least to actually invest in that, meaning they can see the value of their products and most likely will see more demand for their services in the future from future clients. Now, I mean, billing hours is the lifeblood of these kind of consulting firms, and this also means Palantir can double down on creating great products. Now, it doesn't mean no more FDEs or forward deployed engineers, far from it in my opinion, but rather just to deal with the demand, they'll need all the help they can get. And the second reason this is important too is that it can potentially be another layer pointing to the openness and security around their implementation of the FDP at the NHS. They can point to that not only Palantir employees are on the project and job, but also KPMG, who is a common system integrator, like say an Oracle for Microsoft or whoever's products are getting into an org. So the process isn't some secret data farming thing that only Palantir employees can do with their hands on. But who knows? Someone will always find something to complain about. Now, small news in my opinion coming up, Palantir offloaded around 52,000 shares of Rubicon, where they have a ton left, over a few million, and the total sale was around $17,000. With these investments that have floundered basically from the SPAC era, I basically look at these as negligible at this point and just ready for the loss to be taken. And also under the reasoning too, we just get that they were open market sales, so nothing much to note. Then we've got Lowe's webinar posted briefly, but then ended up being unlisted by Palantir, which you could see in the screenshot, but has now once again returned back to being public. So the video was technically always available if you had a link, but when it was unlisted, it wouldn't have just come up in any recommendations or on their channel page. Now, I don't see it as a red flag at the time, and maybe they were just fixing something, and I was just speculating, of course, on the reasonings when it just disappeared, but it's just interesting. It might be a way for them to just share the link and have it hosted on YouTube, but only giving it to prospective people that are serious about the customer service engine demo, or, if they're wanting more context around the tool, here's a resource. But either way, it's public again. Do you agree if this makes sense? Then, Palantir released a PR on them getting the awardable status on the DoD's CDAO, or Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office's Tradewin Solutions Marketplace. Essentially, there are two products from Palantir, their AI Mission Command capability, as well as their Predictive Maintenance and Precision Sustainment Suite, which are now on the marketplace, which will be opened up to other DoD offices, where, if they have a marketplace account, can get access to these tools now. Essentially, it means that these solve very hard problems that the DoD recognizes and wants to spread it to other parts of their sprawling organization and see these specific products as valuable enough to spread and put on the marketplace. The implication, of course, of Palantir is essentially they can get more easily bought up from these DoD customers, considering it has been obtained of this status. Over time, we will see it. More of those products will make it, and of course, this still adds to their scalability factor and value that they bring when it comes to artificial intelligence and machine learning products, for at least for defense. Then we've got a new dynamic scaling demo posted by Chad on the Palantir developers channel. Check it out when you have a chance. The big note here is that this is also on the AIP Now site as a use case, so Palantir continues to hit the nail on the head when it comes to pushing AIP Now solutions and making sure that these use cases are on the front-facing end of prospective customers available and just to see how they could work. So great job for them to just continue to push that home. Then we've got new information, but from a negative article here saying Marketing Brew got a leaked Palantir pitch deck targeted towards ad agencies. Now, honestly, there are three main points when you come down to it. First, Palantir is going after these kind of customers and pitching their value, right? They've demonstrated this before with other industries and look to be bringing this to advertisement. Second, they provided a very specific result where they improved a targeted marketing campaign for a large broadcast customer by 300%. This is a very oddly specific but amazing result if true, and of course would make its way into the slide deck because it's so good. But lastly, 3, if you read the article, you know the author is coming from the more controversial angle, basically trying to argue Palantir has a bad reputation even though their software works and provides great results. And with their work with the surveillance agencies and defense, they pose a reputational risk for any of these ad agencies if they were to actually sign up with them. I don't agree with it, of course, but I'll let you be the judge of that and maybe we'll just see how it plays out. Then Palantir dropped a new Titan demo on X, and the significance here is that Palantir has been pretty quiet around the project, at least since the PR, and nothing really before for good reason. And it makes sense. They were competing for a contract for the first 2 phases, but with phase 3 finally, they are now leading the development of the 10 prototype vehicles. So the competition is themselves essentially, and the team they're pulling together to meet the expectations of the Army. So check out the demo when you have a chance, but essentially the goal of the project is developing the first AI-defined vehicle, taking focus onto the software capabilities of defense technology instead of just being an afterthought as it was in the past, bringing it into the 21st century when it comes to their hardware. But let me know your thoughts below on the jam-packed week, and I'll see you in the next video.